Silence! It's time! It's time! It's
time for another episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. Sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 355 of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. I'm your host, as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Tyler. I'll tell you what, it's been an absolutely crazy week, but at the same time, I'm glad actually just to be at home, just relaxing for the time being, unsure about work for the next week, but at the same point, at least I'm here.
Yeah, that's what's important. Yeah. It's been a crazy few days. It's Sunday afternoon as we're recording. It's a weird Sunday, I can't remember the last time we recorded, for me personally, because you're 2 hours behind me.
Yeah.
And the sun's still out. It's setting now. But we've been on we've been bullshitting for about an hour now before we even got to the this call. But it was I'm sitting here I'm sitting here I'm not drinking. I was looking for a beer to drink. I'm like, it's fucking 5:30 on a Sunday. It's like why am I? We don't have we have a beer in the house. I'm just gonna drink some water. I'm gonna stay hydrated, stay healthy best I can. It's my day off. It's my night off. Do some gaming, maybe watch some movies. I've been doing a lot of movie watching lately. I'm in a movie watching mood, but yeah, it's been oh boy, what a week, huh?
Yeah, no shit.
We've been talking kind of our experiences and shit. What's going on, going to the store and stuff like that. I was telling Gables, I've I've seen we have a lot of snowstorms here and shit, and I've been to the store and it's been crazy packed. People just grabbing shit for oh, we're not gonna be able to get out for a weekend, so they grab 3-4 days worth of shit. I went to the store and people were walking around with multiple carts of goddamn toilet paper and paper towels. I'm like, what the fuck? I went to the store. I was telling them I could see 3 grocery stores they're in the parking lot area of my apartment I live in. I could see them from my apartment, and there's 2 gas stations. I don't have to go out on the street. I could just go around the back and drive up to all these places, and none of them the other day had fucking toilet paper. I couldn't even single ply, the shit that makes your ass bleed when you wipe. Couldn't even find that shit. Nothing. It's been nuts. Water, hard to find. Butter, eggs. It's goddamn ridiculous. Frozen pizzas, can't find them. All I want is goddamn Totino's pizza. Can't have them. Fucking crazy ass times, Gables. Crazy ass times.
Well, it certainly is.
It was kind of funny. Before we get, this is kind of a funny story actually. So my girlfriend works at a bar at a hotel, and they have a big swimming pool and stuff like that. They always have it's always busy on the weekend, especially in the wintertime. Right. And spring break's coming up, shit like that. So the whole hotel is booked out because a lot of people would love to go there, and especially spring break, and bring their kids to the pool. It's got a slide and everything like that. It's fairly nice. And she got there and started calling me freaking out because people were checking out, and she's the hotel's empty. And
really?
She's like, what's going on? She's calling, people are leaving. Everybody's leaving. I guess some kid got sick, and they just they shut down the pool and stuff like that. She's freaking out and stuff like that. And I'm like, even I'm getting kind of concerned because I'm worried. Don't get me wrong, a little worried, but I'm not doomsday anything, And I'm like, oh shit, now I'm getting worried. I'm getting a little stressed out. My anxiety going up a little bit. She calls back. Some kid shit in the pool. So she went from thinking she was gonna it was gonna be a crazy busy ass night. She's been stressed out all goddamn day about it, freaking out it's gonna be insane tonight. Gets there, she's had she's had 5 customers. She's only been there. She's been in 3 hours. Only had 5 customers.
Wow.
So yeah. So that's kind of a little funny aside there for just trying to find ways to keep yourself entertained while we're all in self quarantine right now. You know what I mean? And she I was gave a talking about before this, and Courtney was like, what are you gonna are you gonna be okay with not leaving the house? I'm like, you just described my entire life. Like this is great. Like I don't have. You kidding me? Doom comes out in 4 fucking days.
Yes, exactly.
This is amazing. This is great times. I'm happy as could be. They released Star Wars early, which don't get me fucking started on that goddamn piece of shit.
They released Star Wars early.
Yeah, they were supposed to come out on Tuesday digitally, and they released it Friday. I'm like, fuck right. And I watched it Saturday morning. Fuck, it's terrible. God damn it. Shit. Yeah, but it's great. Like there's all kinds of crazy shit happening in top. Like there's that awesome 90 about the bull, like the 98 Bulls documentary. It's supposed to come out in like June. They'll release with like the NBA Finals. ESPN talk about possibly it's like a 6-part documentary. It looks fantastic. They're talking about releasing it here soon to watch on the ESPN Plus. Which fuck yeah, I'm all in for. I want to see that shit. Puppy's going nuts. Puppy, will you fucking stop? Puppy. Sorry, had to yell at my dog. She's we call her the watcher of the windows, and she likes to bark at random things in the window. She's doing a good job though. She's doing God's work, you know, keeping us safe. That puppy, good girl. I love that girl, but she gets a little crazy sometimes. So yeah, I don't know, Gables. How are you feeling about this whole? I mean, without getting all the depressing shit, like it's a crazy time right now. You know what I mean? Stay safe. Don't only go out when you have to. Obviously, all the shit you even hear. Wash your hands. All that. Definitely wipe and wash your ass. You know that's important.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How you doing with the quarantine of yourself? You got big plans?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm still really at the planning stages, just in case. I know the county that I'm living in Washington State has not had any confirmed cases as of yet. But at the same time, I'm keeping everything else like in the focal point in the window just to make sure, just in case, because I know my workplace has got things set into motion just in case something like that happens. I know for a fact that I am an introvert with a lot of stuff, so if I have to not go out of the house for a good long period of time, I'm okay with that, as long as I have a lot of supplies. Plus, I look at it myself where it's like, I'm probably going to be delving into a lot of crap inside of my room anyway, just to try to entertain myself. Because, obviously I got a whole bunch of backlog of stuff. I've also got some whole lot of media stuff I can watch, I can read. And quite essentially and stuff, as long as the internet and the cable and everything else are all good to go and stuff, then I actually literally have no issues in that regards. But, I think the thing that's going to be most telling and stuff is, and I think we're seeing it right now, is because there's so many people right now that are being quarantined throughout the United States, throughout the other countries in the world, that more and more people are going online to not only just try to distract themselves, try to get up-to-date information for stuff, but also play in video games. Case in point, over the weekend, Steam at one point has had 20 million concurrent users.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man. That's just crazy to think about. And I'm kind of feeling like it's going to be more for other services as well. Say like Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, on top of PC stuff. Because hey, people want something to do. They can't go out to work. So they're like, okay, let's go ahead and let's get some stuff done.
Yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a major boom in births in about 9 months as well. We're gonna have a lot of babies here.
Well, probably. Who knows?
We gotta think of some like fun names. I mean, it's not funny, I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but you gotta find the light in all the dark, And there's gonna be some interesting names that come out in about 9 months. People are gonna name their babies after this event. Like if we have a kid, I'm just gonna name it like Corn or something like that.
Corn. Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll think of something.
Corn Chips, come over here.
Yeah. The middle name is Chips. Corn Chips Courtney, what's up?
Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you what. Funny. Not only that, just reading a lot of the news though, but I just got through just checking out some things on Twitter, which I thought was relatively hilarious and gross at the same time. There is a new challenge going out, and kids are trying to do this. Yeah. It basically was like the coronavirus challenge.
Yeah, it's gross.
Essentially some stupid girl, some teenage girl, goes through and she's licking the goddamn toilet seat of a fucking plane and posting herself doing it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we got a Darwin Award coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that case, in scenarios, Tyler, I don't want to make light of any fun, though, but this is why natural selection occurs.
Yeah. No. Sometimes there's good use for it. You know what I mean? It's
But FYI, people, if you are even going to remotely be on that level of stupid, just don't do it.
Yeah. It's just, it's crazy. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just, it's a weird time. Like, not to get too dark into it, but somebody, like, I was listening to a podcast and talking about it, and like they said this is like completely completely different set of like circumstances, but it's like the same feeling that they had, and it kind of like I thought about it, I'm like, that makes like that's exactly what I'm going through right now.
What?
It's like this is like they said this is exactly how they felt during 9/11. It's like everything's changed now. Everything's different now. It's like completely different. Like obviously, one thing is a horrific event that happened, but it's like that's that same feeling. It's like we are in uncharted territories. What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
You know,
So
like what's the next? What's our like?
You bring up a good
what's
point.
the next month? What's the next 6 weeks? What's the fucking next year gonna look like? You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like nobody knows. It's just nuts.
Exactly. It's
So.
just going to be one of those things where we're going to have to take it one day at a time. You know, if we're inside of our homes or something for like about a good solid month or something like that, you don't know what tomorrow's going to be. You don't know what's going to happen next. It could possibly be where this possible like disease or whatever, this virus may be circulating, maybe lasting a few months. It could be anything really. And you know,
Yeah.
in kind of the hindsight though, let's think back to the past a little bit. Certain people are kind of feeling that way with the whole like the Cuban Missile Crisis back in the 60s, you know, where it's like we were really close on the verge of nuclear war in the 1960s, and there was a lot of people that felt like that even back then. But when I think about it, it's like the thing with 9/11, the feelings that everyone had towards then, it really does kind of have some form of similarities to now. The only difference is that uncertainty and stuff is just a lot of people. It's just basically from a lot of people who are just staying home and stuff like that, not just to spread some sort of like disease and stuff, whereas 9/11 was more or less, it was just an attack on our American soil and stuff, and
Yeah.
it was just that fear, quintessentially, that uncertainty of fear is what is
Yeah.
the similarities between all this.
Yeah, definitely. It's just it's like this event's never happened. Nothing like this has ever happened before. But trying to get into some more positive news here. E3 got canceled. So sticking with everything going on right now, cancel E3. A lot of events. I mean, it's not. I mean, everything's getting canceled. The NBA. I just literally like a pop up just came up on my phone. NBA's they're expecting it won't come back probably until sometime in June. It's looking increasingly likely. XFL canceled the whole season, but I don't think anybody will really notice that.
No.
But a lot of like CDC got canceled got postponed. Like there's a lot of, or not CDC, GDC. Sorry, I've been watching too much of CDC stuff lately. But GDC and like a lot of these, South by Southwest, like pretty much every big event. Like there's fucking anything at like an arena is pretty much been canceled lately. March Madness is canceled, which is sad to see because like all those college kids like abruptly their entire like for a lot of thousands of kids like their career's over now. They were still expecting to have some games left, but bigger circumstances involved. But just sticking with E3, I mean I feel like it's crazy because just last week they were like ESA that runs E3 was saying like under no means are we going to cancel this event. And it was just like everybody. This is right after GDC got canceled. And everybody's just like, at the time it's like okay, it's June. We have what 3 months? It's whatever. We'll see where we're at. I mean, by then it'll probably all. I mean, we didn't know. I mean, even we were kind of making jokes about it last week. But understanding it's like it's a situation, but not understanding how big it was going to be. So it's just like, okay, whatever, that's fine. We got 3 months, and it was just like everybody's like, no, they have to cancel it. Like over the course of the days, and it's just like Wednesday, everything changed in our lives, and then Thursday morning too. But it's like, I feel like though, really, it sounds like from everybody coming out of this, so like it sucks for the people in the industry because it sounds like like a lot of they talk about like what sucks like a lot of smaller companies go there and have meet and greets and they meet people there that can help them make their games happen or they get a job at this company because they met somebody at these events. Like that's the big thing that's gonna. There's a lot of things we'll never know that will never happen because of this. It's the smaller things that we don't think about that we don't see as fans. But like looking at from a as our perspective, the people don't go to it. Like I don't think we'll see much of a difference at all. Like it sounds like coming out of it, like everybody's just gonna do like a direct style, which I've always been up for anyways. Like I've never been a big fan of since Nintendo started doing directs and stuff at E3, and even like Sony will have like crowds. Like the last few they did, they'll have a crowd, but they just watch the screen. It's like no one comes out and talks. They come out and talk at the beginning. Someone comes out or someone comes out, talks to them, then they watch the screen for an hour and it's over. And even I think Bethesda did one like that a couple years ago. So it's like they've been turning into that lately, anyways. Even Square Enix is the two they've had have been like that. So it's like they've been that where they just had like people coming to a theater to watch it, and it's like now it sounds like we're just not gonna. No one's gonna go to a theater. We're all gonna be able to watch them at home. It's just a matter of like, are they gonna be over the course of those 3 days that we usually was? Usually it's like, well, no, now it's more spread out, I guess, because like what Friday or Saturday EA has theirs, and Saturday there's somebody, Sunday Microsoft goes and a couple other people go, and then there's Monday and there's Nintendo goes on Tuesday. So it's usually I guess like 5 days, but I think it's just a matter of like, are we still gonna have them over that course of time? Like I hope that's still the case because I love E3. Like we both love E3. It's legitimately one of my favorite weeks of the year. Like that weekend and that whole early part of the week. I look forward to it all year round. Like we love it. We sit there. We'll do 7-8 podcasts in a fucking like a weekend, talking about these events, and we watch all of them. We love it. We'll go online, like read what everybody's saying about it, watch all the gameplay trailers, everything that comes out of it. It's awesome. So I hope that still happens. I want that still to happen. Obviously, I mean, like, look, there's always bigger things going on, but just trying to find some hopefulness in all this. Like, I hope that we still have, like, there's still some of that normalcy to it. Where like, ESA is like, we want to make it more of a digital event. Like, maybe like some people were talking about having like I remember people talking about this years ago. Like maybe like something like even before, like around when these current consoles came out. Like, what about those demos everybody's playing at? Like, they get to go wait in line to play at E3. What if we just put them on the PS4 and the Xbox One? We can play them at home, and maybe that's gonna be the case. I've even heard like a lot of like companies that like they'll fly people out to LA to play their game, like play a couple hour stretch of their game. Now they're finding ways, like they're still having these events, but they're like streaming them to like the people from their offices or at home. So it's kind of, I mean, it's interesting. It sounds like that's gonna be more of the case. What's gonna happen is like IGN and GameSpot and all these big companies that like normally fly out there, they're still gonna be able to play these games. They're just gonna have to like stream them essentially, or they'll get like something and like to actually play them. But I don't know. I hope that we can that we still have that. Like we still have EA Play on. I think it's Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. We still have like Microsoft on Sunday. I know like Nintendo's on Tuesday. I hope we still have that. Like, and even like there was, I guess it came out that there was rumors of it, and like, but no one said anything. But now it got canceled. People just came out and said it. Like, WB was gonna do their first ever like EA E3 show. Yeah. And they were going to finally talk about the new Batman game they've been teasing for a year and a half on Twitter. They're going to show off a bunch of new stuff as well. But I don't know. It's kind of we're, like I said, we're in uncharted territories. So it's just like, and also, I mean, is this the end of E3? Like, is this like, or maybe not the end of it, but is this like, is it ever going to go back to how it was? Like, I don't know, Gables, where are you at with E3 being canceled?
To be perfectly honest, I'm perfectly fine with the thing being canceled because everybody else was just withdrawing anyway and trying to do their own types of directs or their own type of conferences or subsidiary shows. It's happened for years, including things most recent like Sony pulling out and then having EA and Rockstar doing their thing, and even like some bits of Devolver Digital doing their own things and stuff. It's like, at the same point, the first and foremost is the safety of the people involved with everything. So it's like, I understand and I don't really care that E3 has gotten canceled. At the same point, I do not believe that E3 is going to go back to the same way that it once was after this stuff is cleared. Especially if, for like the ongoing and stuff for the duration, I kind of feel like E3 in and of itself is not done for, but at the same time, I feel like it's going to have to evolve into another type of standard. More or less sort of like, I think it's going to shrink down personally, sort of like how we would see like a PAX or a developers conference and stuff, to where it's not going to be the big extravaganza that it once was. But I kind of feel like it's going to be like a subsidiary show in complementary to the other companies that are going to go through and present their stuff. So essentially, E3 could be something like something where some developers, maybe some indie developers, or where everyone else just want to go through and showcase their games. But at the same point, I kind of feel like that if you're going to want to have the major news stuff for a lot of the stuff, I think your best bet is just like waiting for the other companies to do what they're going to do. Because even with the whole E3 thing being canceled, there's multiple companies, including, say, Nintendo, which are rumored to have like some sort of showcasing stuff, even as early as this month, maybe like over the next couple of weeks in terms of their direct stuff.
Yeah.
So we could potentially be receiving news and information earlier than June. So we could have more information about the PlayStation 5 or new news about acquisition, like Sony acquiring stuff to try to get things under wraps. But on the grand scheme of things, it's like we don't need an E3 really to get the information what we need, because quite honestly, companies are going to reveal what they're going to want to reveal on social media. So there's no point right now.
Yeah, I think that's been something we've all like kind of like people. We love E3 because it's just like it's like all the game stuff comes together like in that like it's a lot of shit happens in a short amount of time. That's why I love about it. It's like all the fun, exciting parts of it. But yeah, we don't like Nintendo Directs have proven we don't need like Nintendo can announce shit whenever they want. They can say on Tuesday, hey, we're gonna have a Direct in the morning, and people are gonna go nuts, and then we're gonna watch it. Or in 2 days, we're gonna have a Direct. At any point in time, they can just have a random one on a fucking Thursday morning, you know, and everybody's gonna like tune in and watch it. State of Play has been a big thing. Like Xbox does those like Xbox little short things. I can't remember what they're called, but there's never really like a lot of stuff comes out of it. But
yeah,
but I mean we've proven that we don't need them. It's just we love it because it's just like all eyes. That's when the most eyes are on it. Like So I can see why some people want that, and it's just something that's it's a thing that's aging out. So everybody talks about like like it's slowly like eroding. I don't want to say dying, but it's like it needs to change, and they try to make changes about with fans going there. And I think a big reason why it could I think it'll come back next year. I think there'll be something going on, but I think it's gonna be different next year for sure, or maybe it will be the same. But they're gonna like people are gonna realize like I think what the big thing is like a lot of businesses are like, we don't need this, like, because I mean it's expensive for companies. Like a big reason why like Sony stepped out of it is like I guess the new CEO of PlayStation, like he was like looking at like I can't remember the former president, but he loved like the big grandiose stages of doing it and showing it in front of big crowds, showing it's kind of like a show off kind of thing. Like that's why Microsoft still does it. But it was just like they looked at it, like we paid tens of millions of dollars to put this together, like the whole like they rent out the arena or not the arena, but the small facility, the facility they're in, the theater they're in. They put the stage up, hire talent, do like the music acts, fly all these people in, rent out advertisements, like like they put a lot of time and effort and a lot of money goes into this stuff, and it's just like we can get as much exposure by doing this shit instead of doing it in June when everybody else is doing it. We can do it in fucking March. We can now say anything. They just dropped the Ghost of Tsushima release date out of nowhere last week on a random Thursday or Friday. Like, they just dropped the release date. Like, and they like same thing with Last of Us. They did this. Like they just dropped the release date in September. It's like they delayed it a week later, but they dropped the release date on it. So yeah, it's like we don't need it, but it's like it's still a thing I love and I want that. I want to have that. Like I love that time. Like I remember I take the whole fucking week of work off for it. Cause I just love sitting at home. I want to be home in the conferences so I can watch them live. And it's like there's a lot of fun to that. And like going on Twitter and like reading all these people like freaking out about it at the same time together and talking about all the shit's going on. Like there's a lot of fun behind that. And I don't want it to go away. And I hope that there's some semblance of it as a fan sticks around. But like, I think it's interesting people talk about, like for years people said like, cause I've always like, even like Justin and I would talk about when we were kids, like I want to go to like E3 is like our dream. We want to go there. But it's like, it's interesting when you talk to people, like you hear people talk about like in the industry, like if you're a fan, like E3 is not the place to go. It's business. It's like most 90% of the people who are there are for like, it's business people. Like they're in the industry, they work in the industry, either working on the games or they cover the games or they're big wigs for the game companies. And it's like if, as a fan, you want to go to the PAXs, you want to go to the RTXs, like that's where you want to go. So it's, I don't know, it's like still be cool to see it one day, but it's like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's just it sucks, but I don't know. I think maybe in the end this will change for the good, and maybe like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, like it sounds like everybody that was planning on being there has just said we're just gonna do a digital event. We're gonna find a way to make this work.
Yep.
So I think it's just a matter of if we're gonna see it during that, like in that same time frame, or is it gonna be more spread out, or are they just gonna randomly do theirs and like we're gonna see some of these in April's instead of June, you know? So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But let's go ahead and move on. So you kind of already touched on it already, but there's rumors of the directs. We hadn't had a real actual direct since September, which I didn't realize. I knew it was been a while, but I didn't realize September was the last one we had. That wasn't like a video game exclusive like the Animal Crossing and Pokemon one that we had, the Smash Bros. Ones. Yep. So there is apparently 2 directs coming as soon as this week on March 18th, which would be today, Sunday, so Wednesday would be the rumor is there'll be a Nindies event, which they have every year around GDC was supposed to be I think this weekend or next weekend. I can't remember the original date, and they always do a big a Nindies direct right around the same time. I think it's actually it's right before it, so they reveal all the games that you can go play, and then they're gonna have an actual like the big one on March 26th, and that's gonna deal mostly with like there's no like rumors really of what's coming out for, like there's no exclusive like specific games, but the big thing is like it's gonna be mostly dealing with ports and remasters coming out for this year. So I don't know, we've been talking about forever like the kind of like the drought of Nintendo news really lately, outside of the Pokemon expansion and Animal Crossing. We haven't had a lot lately. So I don't know, what's your percentage wise how much you believe these rumors?
To be perfectly honest, I kind of feel like this is like a 70% in regards to about the rumors and stuff. I feel like there are some truth and validity to it, but I also feel confident that a lot of what Nintendo will probably showcase will be various remasters or ports inside of these directs. I mean, hell, one of them leaked not even like a few weeks ago with the Wonderful 101 in terms of that one getting a re-release. So it's not really too impossible to think that we're going to be getting some more remasters. Hell, by the end of this year, potentially, it's going to be Xenoblade Chronicles. I was
going to say that too, yeah.
But seeing something like a Mario 3D World, or even in regards to Pikmin 3 or whatever type of Pikmin stuff, that I could potentially see. So I kind of feel like it's a 70% chance we're going to see predominantly like remasters, remakes, and stuff in one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like 85% sure. And maybe that's a little bit of me being hopeful in there. But I think it makes sense because they're getting ready to go to the end of the fiscal year at the end of March. So, and we keep talking about, after Animal Crossing, we know nothing about the rest of their year.
True.
So it makes sense. Like, we don't even have, like, I think we know No More Heroes 3 and one other game I can't think of off the top of my head right now that's released this year, but, like, nothing major. Like, I don't want to diss these games, but they're not big games that like everybody's gonna be talking about. But it makes sense to me because like they're gonna want to tell their stockholders like, hey, here's what's coming. Because like I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if some stockholders are a little nervous. Is like, what the hell's going on with Nintendo right now? Because they haven't been shy about telling us shit like over the last few years. And it's like now it's like no one's saying anything. It's been like that for a while. Even like people have been saying the same thing about Sony with PlayStation. It's like what the fuck's going on? Like Microsoft's been out there talking like saying everything about the Xbox, not everything, but just trickling out information after a little bit of information after information about stuff about the Series X and stuff like that. And it's like we have zero from the PS5. We got a logo. That's all we've gotten this year. So I don't know. I think it's gonna happen. I really do. I think maybe not these exact dates, but I wouldn't be. I do think the Nindies will happen this coming week, right. And I think that we will have a direct before April. Like. I don't know. And like I said, maybe that's me being a fan and hoping for it because it's just like, and it's just like I just want to fucking know what's going on, kind of thing. But I'm curious. Like it's kind of disappointing to hear that it's going to be a lot of ports and remasters. I'm hoping that we finally get that 3D World, the port that is got to happen. I imagine because I think that's there's not really a lot of big ports from the Wii U that we can have left. But that and we already know about Wonderful 101. And Pikmin 3, is that it? I can't.
Xenoblade Chronicles and stuff. That would be port, but
that's a Wii. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think
that's Wii U. There's like maybe a couple others, like Woolly World. That's one of them.
Yeah.
But, there really is not too many left in regards to that. Maybe Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's another one. But
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that comes in. Maybe if Xenoblade Chronicles is a real rumor, which it sounds like it is, pretty much true. Like I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of years X comes out, for it. So to spread them out a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I hope so, because god damn it, I want to know what to look forward to for Nintendo, and it's just like it could be anything, So that's kind of just like E3, that's fun and direct. It could be fucking anything. But moving on to our next topic here. So Silent Hill might be making a comeback, Gables.
Interesting.
So this is pretty fucking nuts. I was like looking for little clips I was going to take out of this article here, but I'm just going to read I'm going to read almost all of it. So Sony is reportedly working on 2 Silent Hill games, a soft reboot and a revival of Kojima's canceled Silent Hills. That's according to Rely on Horror, which claims that a trusted source has disclosed that Sony will be the driving force behind bringing the series back. According to this report, not only are the plans to soft reboot the Silent Hill series, but Sony could also resurrect Hideo Kojima's canceled Silent Hills game. This is a quote from the person that was reporting on the rumors. According to our first source, Sony is working to patch up a relationship between Kojima Productions and Konami in order to resurrect the game due to the amount of buzz and continued demand for 5 years after it's canceled. The report also claims that key figures will be returning to work on the reboot, rumored to simply be called Silent Hill, including the original Silent Hill director Kiichiro Toami, the composer Akira Yamaoka, and creature designer Mashiro Ito. Hope I probably butchered all those. And SIE Japan Studio is also to be rumored to be working on that game with it. So so not only is they got back the original people to reboot the game called Silent Hill, they're actually Sony is like the middleman and dealing with Konami and Kojima about bringing back the canceled game that Silent Hills that they're working on. So a lot of rumors this week on the show, but I don't know how much do you believe this stuff?
Well, what's interesting is I was looking at the same type of report on Twitter this morning, and apparently there's a rumor going around that Sony's trying to acquire the IPs of not just Silent Hill, but also Metal Gear and Castlevania.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Those 3 franchises. Man, if Sony were to actually go forth and acquire those 3 franchises, that's a big deal. One, it's because those 3 franchises have lain dormant for too long under the stand of Konami because they've done shit and nothing with them. I kind of wish that they would actually try to go and get the Contra stuff as well, because fuck.
Yeah. Well, no, they just ported Symphony of the Night over to iPhone last week.
Yeah, I know.
That's something.
And to be perfectly honest with you, $3 for that port, and it's apparently a good port from what I'm hearing. But as far as the validity of it, the whole validity, to be perfectly honest, this does make sense for Sony Computer Entertainment. And hear me out on this. Each one of those IP, from Silent Hill to Metal Gear Solid to Castlevania, they were huge in regards to the success of the past of the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
The original PlayStation, when you had games like Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill 1 and 2, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night, those were considered by gamers to be pretty much the best defining games, or some of the biggest defining games for that system. So I feel like Sony has been probably negotiating with Konami for a while on this. Do I feel like this is true? Yes. I do feel like there's a lot of truth and validity of it. I would give it maybe like around an 80% chance that this being actually legitimate, because it makes too much sense. And also the possibility of getting back key people to work on the projects that quintessentially Konami kind of ousted back when. So you could have potentially maybe, and just the possibilities are almost endless with this, because you could possibly get in like Kojima to actually work on Metal Gear Solid again too.
Oh my god, don't even dude, don't even get me started on that, man. Oh my god.
Think about it. resurrecting the Silent Hills that him and Benicio del Toro were working on, potentially maybe working on Metal Gear again. And think about it this way: what would happen if they actually did that and got back David Hayter again as an ultimate FU to fucking Konami?
Yes.
But the best part of all I kind of feel is like they could potentially, if say they do acquire all these IPs, these dormant IPs from Konami, just the thought that they could bring in somebody, say like Koji Igarashi, who was the main driving force behind creating Castlevania Symphony of the Night, having him rework back on his actual, the actual characters that he made his career kind of famous on in regards to Rondo and Symphony of the Night, and regards to the whole games that were on the Game Boy Advance and the DS ones. And quintessentially, he turned out his own Castlevania game in Bloodstain and Curse of the Moon. I mean, let's not kid ourselves right here. If we had all these driving forces that Sony would go through and secure, those are some big first-party exclusives. Those are going to be a driving force to buy on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So, with that nostalgia, with that type of kick, with that type of support, knowing full well we got the key original makers, or key driving force of why these franchises were successful to begin with, that creates more of support of validity that Sony is going through and trying to acquire these IPs from Konami, and also almost simultaneously creates a whole lot of buzz and excitement for people to go in and buy a PlayStation 5. So I feel like with 80% validity, I feel like this is definitely something that's happening.
Yeah, I feel like I'm with you. Like, I feel like this is something that's definitely happening. Like, I believe that Sony's trying to get those IPs. Maybe not trying to outright own them, but at least like we'll do everything to make all these games happen. You just got to give us the rights to use the names. I believe they're trying, I truly don't think that a lot of this is going to happen. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they get back the original people to reboot Silent Hill, but I don't think they'll get Konami makes so much fucking money off those IPs for doing next to nothing with them, with the machines out in Japan, reporting them everywhere, stuff like that. Like, they're making a lot of money off that. Maybe if they give them, like, Sony's like, hey, like, we'll give you money, just, you can keep using those IPs for your machines, and we'll give you a cut of, like, you can keep making money off your ports that you've already put out, but we'll give you a cut even of the games that we make for these. Maybe then they can get that, but like
maybe sort of having Sony, maybe like Konami just like negotiating with Konami and stuff in order to have them use, like, Sony use those licenses, those quintessentially those licenses from those IPs and stuff to distribute games and stuff, and Konami's not the one that's actually creating the games, but Sony is. It's kind of
it's like they got. It's like, we're like, you gotta do nothing but give us the rights to use it. I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Best case scenario for this is like that's what happens. Is like they get the rights to use those, but that would be amazing. I would love that. I would love to, like, if they finally made Chapter 3 to Metal Gear Solid 5. That's the ultimate dream for me. Is like Metal Gear Solid 5, one of my favorite games of all time. It's fantastic. Not complete. It's missing a lot. The game is missing a lot, and we know that for a fact. Like, there's, like, they talk about it. There's cutscenes that weren't done of that game that they just had to stop making the game at a certain point. So, like, to see, like, all that shit happen would be fantastic. I would love for that. I mean, I've never been a Silent Hill guy at all. I remember playing the original one back in the day on PlayStation, but I never, like, by the time I got interested in those kind of games, like when I got older to play those kind of games, like, Silent Hills was bad. Like, they weren't making good games anymore. So it's just like I just totally missed out on that entire franchise, it feels like to me. So I'd love it if they brought it back and they made it good again. Like, obviously as a Kojima fan, I would love it, like, to see just, we still talk about PT to this day. It sounds like that's the reason why this is happening, is because people still talk about PT. It'd be awesome if they put PT back on the fucking store. Yeah. For people to download and play. Like, that would be amazing. So I don't know. It feels like one of those things where it's like with the Kojima part, it feels like that part is too good to be true kind of thing, but I'm hoping it isn't. But I feel like the rest of it is completely viable. Like, I actually would put, like, I'm like 90% positive all that's happening. It's the Kojima part that I'm like 60%, 55% positive. Like, 50 that maybe it's actually happening. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. I truly don't. I'm like 30% on that, but I don't know. I'm hoping because that would be great. Just it would go really mainly for me for the Kojima part. Just because maybe that means it's a way to get him to work on in a decade. Maybe we'll get a Metal Gear Solid game. So a real one that's not fucking bullshit like that one that was a Metal Gear Survive. Oh God, I can't believe
where you have to pay to have an additional save point.
Yeah, I paid $10 for that game, and I feel like it owes me money. But moving on. So this kind of one I want to throw out there real fast. NFL and 2K have reached an agreement on making NFL games. Again, the only thing is they can't make simulation games. That Madden's get the exclusives on that rights, but they're allowed to do whatever that means. They're allowed to do pretty much anything else, but they can't make. And it's kind of loose on what that means. Like what do they mean by like on the realism? Like can they not look realistic? Can they not be 11 versus 11? Like what does that mean? They plan on releasing games as soon as next summer. So and also EA's exclusivity rights ends after Madden 21. I think will be the final one. So next year's Madden will be the final one under the current contract they have. So, but I imagine they make so much money off each other. I doubt I think they'll re-up on the deal they have right now. They've been doing it for 15 years. I don't think it's going to change. I don't know. You never like you play Madden. You bought it a couple times. Like I know you're not like a big realistic sports guy, but like I don't know. Like does this make you excited for anything like a realistic football game?
Well, let me tell you something. In terms of my whole history with Madden, I'm actually fairly excited about what's going on with this. And I'll tell you why. Madden, EA, Electronic Arts has had a clear grasp upon the exclusivity of the NFL for the past 15 years. More so because EA was so scared of the success of ESPN 2K5.
Yeah.
And that being $20 and that selling like gangbusters and outselling the friggin' Madden, that it scared them into signing the exclusivity deal with the NFL. In regards to what times the games that I've played, I've actually have not played a Madden game, I want to say, since 2015. I have played a handful of them, ranging from like Madden 98, 2003, 4, 5, 2008 and 2009, and then at the same point, I also had a delving thing with like Madden 13, 14, and 15. So it's like I've played a fair amount of my NFL games in regards to Madden, but maybe not to an extreme. I basically have created career modes and stuff where I play as my 49ers and I go through and I win a Super Bowl, and that was just my full extent. Now, in terms of what we got over here, it cannot be any type of simulation game since EA has pretty much got that locked for like another year or something like that. So what I could think we could be seeing potentially games that are sort of like NFL Street or like games potentially like how an arcadey sort of versions like we used to have like NFL Blitz, to where we're going to have the characters. I mean, we're going to have players, like authentic players, games and stuff like that, but it's going to be more kind of like an arcade feel, or more or less sort of like, I think we're going to see a little bit more creativity inside of the NFL like sports genre in terms of video games that we've had in the past 20 years. So it's definitely an exciting time. It's like a genesis now of like creative ideas of what they can go through and do. So yeah, that's kind of like how I feel about it. I'm pretty excited, but I'm kind of tempered a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful because like I'm obviously a Madden fanboy. I never really played the 2K not Madden, the 2K football games. So I don't really know. Like everybody always talks to about it is like, oh, they're better than Madden. But I've always like, it's just people just because it's back then 2K was a little guy, for sports games. So it was just like, oh, okay, whatever. People just say it because they want to drop
it
down
and
take down the big guys.
A great football
yeah, and I back then I was like just an ignorant teenage like fanboy, like people say Gears of War is fantastic. What? Like there's great things outside of Nintendo games. Like that was was my issue. Like the Wii was the greatest thing ever invented to me back then. How dumb I was. But
we've all been there.
Yeah. We're all a little smarter now. Anyways, like it's been really stagnant for like a for a fan of me like that loves like football games. Like even like I love like the NCAA games. I miss those, even though they're a lot alike to most people. Like, oh, what's the big difference other than it's college and NFL? But it's like the college games were so much fucking better to me than Madden was, because it was just like there's all kinds of really cool different like styles of play in college, and it's like I miss that. Like for the most part, you play Madden, like a lot of the playbooks are the same, like a little bit of difference, but for the most part it's the same. And I still love it, don't get me wrong, but it's like I miss like even something like that is awesome to have. But like I miss NFL Street, I miss all those like fun arcade, I miss Blitz to a certain extent. Like I loved fucking NFL Street games. It was funny, just a couple weeks ago I was tweeting out, bring back NFL Street. Like I fucking want that game. I miss that game. I don't know why it just popped my head the other day. Just like I want to fucking play NFL Street right now. Like I was like, oh, is it on PlayStation Now, or is there any way I can like play it on the current consoles? There's no way I can do it. But like I miss playing those games. And it's just like this brings hope that like even like they NFL randomly made like a Madden arcade game. It was like a $20 download game on the 360 and PS3 back in the day. Like I want to say like 2011 or 12, and those games were fucking fun. It was like a 4 versus 4 or 3v3 arcade game. It was a blast. And it's like I played the shit out of that game, even though there was no season mode. You just played arcade mode. That's all it was.
Dude,
I played it constantly. Go ahead.
I remember playing like games like NFL Street and stuff on the PlayStation Portable, dude. The PSP back in the day, like the mid 2000s and stuff. One of my friends let me play like a game or two or something like this PSP, and that thing was fun as shit, because it's like with the NFL Street games, dude. It was basically a part of like their whole EA Big series, where they had things like motocross, they had SSX, they had Freak Style, they had
NBA Street.
Man, NBA Street was a fucking favorite of mine, man. The original one and even the second one was good. Oh my gosh, the third one had freaking like Mario characters in the GameCube version.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, it's just I miss that. I miss like differentiating, and I understand like EA is all about like they want the big $1 billion hits. They don't want the $100 million hits or whatever, And they changed to a certain extent. Especially with like I think things are changing for them. They see things differently now, especially with like Fallen Order coming out and doing like a Way Out and stuff like that. Like they're doing things a little differently, but they're just unraveled. But we don't need to talk about unraveled, fucking raveled. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm hopeful. I would love it. Like I was watching a thing about like there's this person I watch every so often on YouTube. It's like Eric Mayweather or something like that, I think is his YouTube channel. But he exclusively talks about Madden and stuff like that. And he's like, and I'll watch his videos every now and again. I'm not like, I don't subscribe or anything to him, but he's like, I'm interested in some of his videos. And it was funny, just he was talking about like the big thing is like, what does this mean? Like, what can this mean for them? And he's like, he was like, could they bring back Street? It's like, well, EA owns that, but could they bring like they make this game called 2K makes this NBA Playgrounds, which is basically like a cross between Jam and Street for them. It's like maybe that's probably something we'll more than likely see first is like NFL Playground, where it's like, but I'd fucking take that in a heartbeat. If you give me something that's well made, has the names, has the teams. Really, I mean, if you could just give me a fun arcadey football game that is well made, I would play it. Like I love it'd be nice to have the NFL and stuff like that and have those teams in there, but it's like, if someone could bring back a really good NFL Street like game, I would play the shit out of that game. I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
Same here, especially if it's so good that we can remember like years from now, sort of similar like to an NBA Jam. I mean, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
I love some NBA Jam.
Yeah, and they brought them back a couple times, and they were actually legitimately fun. Like they were pretty good. They were like really well made, and like it still lived up. Like the one they made, like I want to say like 2010 or something like that. Like it was a blast. I played it a lot.
It was a good game though. I never had a chance to play it. It was a Wii, the 360, and like the PS3, man. But it was supposed to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, it was fun. I remember it came out and it was like $60, and I was like, "Fuck you!" I remember it eventually came out. It came down like $20-$30 because it was really just like it wasn't like didn't have all like enough in there to make it like a $60 game, but it was still. If it was like just a $20-$30 download game, it was perfect for that. And I ended up picking it for like $20-$30. It was awesome. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just hopeful that that's what we get. Like maybe it brings out like competition. Sometimes it brings out the best in everybody. It makes people do a little bit more. So I'm hoping that maybe that makes EA look at like if they keep the exclusivity stuff, and I'm fine with that. Like I don't need two simulation games. It maybe be for the best for like I'd probably still go Madden regardless, because I am a fanboy. Like I love Madden, and I admit that. So I, it would take something drastic probably for me to switch if like they brought back like a simulation NFL like 2K game. Like it would take a lot for me to go that direction. But like fun arcadey ones, I'm all for that, and I hope that happens. I really even like the backyard football games on fucking GameCube and stuff, like PS2 and stuff like that. Playing the shit out of those games. It was like you played as like NFL players as babies, or like not babies, but like like elementary school age. Yeah, and it was fucking blast. Like that game was fun. It was you just drafted players and shit. Like give me that. Like I would play that. Like just give me something, please. Something. I'm dying over here, man. I'm like a junkie that needs his fix. But moving on to one of my favorite things to do every month, it is the MPDs for February. So I'm going to go ahead and start from 20, and we'll work our way up. So number 20 is Mario Brothers U Deluxe. 19 is Need for Speed Heat. 18 is Rainbow Six Siege. 17, FIFA 20. 16, Just Dance 2020. 15, Pokemon Sword. Unfortunately, no Shield this month. 14, Breath of the Wild. 13, Red Dead Redemption 2. 12, Luigi's Mansion 3. 11, Minecraft. 10, Jedi Fallen Order. 9, Smash Bros. Ultimate. 8, Madden NFL 20. 7, Ring Fit Adventures. 6, Mario Kart 8. 5, Division 2. 4, Dragon Ball Kakarot. Kakarot. Okay. Kakarot. Okay. 3, GTA 5. 2, NBA 2K20. And number 1, Modern Warfare. I don't
Jesus Christ. There's like one game that's actually like brand new that released that month.
Yeah. Is there? What?
I think there's like one game from 2020 that's actually
Dragon Ball's the Dragon Ball game came out the last week of January. And that's number 4.
It did.
I think you're right. Everything else is older. Yeah, it is. Everything's older. But I mean, it's just like they even talk about like the sales overall are down like 30% this year compared to last year. But it's like you look at this time last year, we had Division 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2. I think there was Anthem. No, I don't remember. But we had like a lot of games
come out last year. Yes.
Yeah, but I can't remember if it came out in February or not. I think it was March. But we had a lot of big games coming out in January and February this time last year. So, and we didn't have new consoles coming out in maybe in 8 months. So I don't know. I'm not too surprised to hear about the sales drop. We lack of new games, but oh boy, it's getting good this week. It's gonna get good this week, Gables. I'm so fucking excited. You know how hard it's gonna play a video game with a heart on. That's gonna be me playing Doom. I'm not gonna be able to focus.
Oh my god, I am so waiting for that Friday. In terms, if I literally get off of work and stuff, and all of a sudden I just find Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal, and I get both of them, and I'm just gonna be, and I kid you not, I'm going to be taking a picture of myself with both of them, laying in my bed, and just going through it, just like, no. No, man, I'm just going to take a picture of both of them, and everyone's going to be like, and it's just going to be kind of funny. And I'll have to come up with some witty phrase or something with the shit, man. But I'm just saying, next Friday, it's on.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be so good. I pre-ordered the Doom Collector Edition, whatever. It's like $90 edition because it comes. I guess there's going to be DLC for this single-player DLC for fucking Doom Eternal. So I bought the one that comes with like the expansion pass and everything. So it downloads. I think you can play at like 9 o'clock my time, like 9 o'clock Pacific time on Thursday night. So, but damn it, that's Courtney and I's night off together. Compromises are gonna have to be made. I don't know which one they're gonna be, but it'll be something. But it's gonna be
to its favor. The date night involves Courtney watching you play Doom Eternal. Yeah.
It's like, you can stare at my erection. I'll play Doom. Okay, I hope that works. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's been a quiet year, but yeah, like I said, it's gonna get good. So I don't. Disney, do you have anything you want to add on to that before we move on?
No, not really.
Nah, me neither. It's kind of what you expect for a month with nothing, big out. But moving on to what we've been playing. I'm not gonna lie, Gables, I haven't been playing a lot. I played more with that Bloodroots. I'm legitimately stuck in that game. I spent a solid 45 minutes trying to beat the first boss in that game at the end of Act 1. And it's like one long trek, and I just can't fucking do it. I can't do it. I rage quitted twice now at that point. And I keep getting stuck at like the same point, and I'll get a little bit further. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm so excited. I beat it. I immediately die. Like I'm so it's tough. It's really, really, really tough. But it's still a great game. I think people should check it out. But and I started playing in Madden, I started playing the face of the franchise mode because I didn't realize it has story mode in there. And I love like the last 2 years they had that long shot mode. That was like almost like a Telltale style like story mode with some Madden gameplay elements included in there, and it was really fun. I keep saying like they should like separate those out and sell them on like the shops for like $20 or something like that, like on the PlayStation Store and Xbox Store and shit like that, because it's really fun. But I heard there was like an actual like story mode. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome. Where you create your own player and like you play like through the playoffs, the college football playoffs. You pick your team. You pick between like 8 different college teams. They don't have them all, and you go to the college football playoffs. And there's actually like cutscenes with like you're a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, and you never played a snap before, and you're going into like the starting quarterback gets hurt going into the playoffs. So it's your senior year. And you're going in and you've never started before, so it's this big deal. Like, this guy's never seen, he's never played before. We don't know if he's gonna be good or not. This is the best team in football, and he's got to go in there in the playoffs against the best teams in the country. Blah blah blah. And you go in there, and you can actually lose the games. I won the games, but and it's a big deal. And it's like you going into the draft, and it's like a big deal. Like, how's this guy gonna do? And you actually go into the combine, and like you gotta do like practice and shit like that, and how well you do. You get it depends on where you get drafted, if at all. And I ended up being like a mid first round pick or something like that, which is, I don't think is very hard to do. I'm not trying to brag. And but there's all these cutscenes, like you get an agent, and there's all this shit like with you, and then you actually get to like preseason, and the cutscenes just stop. I mean, like, it builds it all up, and it's like, how is this guy gonna do? Blah blah blah. Is he gonna be any good? And like I'm like on like week 8 or 9. I got drafted by the Raiders, and we're undefeated right now. And I'm just like. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm liking this. Like, this is bringing back the same, like a lot of things I like about long shot. And you only play as yourself. You don't control the receivers, the running backs. You don't play the defense. You only play as the quarterback. That's it. And it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm liking this a lot. And I got to I'm like midway through the first season. I'm just like, there's just no more. It's just regular Madden, which, don't get me wrong, really enjoy. But it's like, the reason I got into this was because I thought there's more to it than this, but there's not. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. Just I wanted to start Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and I was just like, I honestly kind of forgot it came out, and I was just like, now I'm just like so close to Doom that I don't want to really start anything because I know I'm never gonna go back to it. So yeah, I'll just be talking about Doom next week. What about you, Gables?
Well, let's see. I decided for the last week to try to start something new. So a friend and I, we've been talking over Discord and stuff, and basically what she has been going through, she wanted to give Death by Daylight a little bit of a break and stuff, and so she started getting back into Dragon Age stuff. So one of her favorite games is Dragon Age 2, and she despises the first one because, but essentially she plays through the second one first before the first. But it kind of prompted me to go through and wanting to check out Dragon Age, and I do have all the Dragon Age games in regards to the availability to go through to play them. So turned on my Xbox One and I started playing Dragon Age Origins. I decided, you know what, I'm going to play the game that she hates. Why? Because I want to see if I will enjoy it. So 6 hours in, the story is very good. I got to admit, the whole opening intro, like the whole opening parts of the campaign that I'm starting as a human character, in regards to like the race and stuff, I'm basically sort of like a straightforward sort of like knight, pretty much like a warrior class, quintessentially. And what I'm noticing right away is a lot of the basic BioWare stuff that they did back in the day, which is a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the choices that you are able to select. You can go the good path, the bad path, or whatever. You basically got a lot of choices that you have at your disposal in order to persuade people to manipulate them to do what you want them to do, or you can go through and intimidate them to get them to force them what you want them to do. The combat is starting to become a little bit more easier for me to grasp, but at the same point, it was definitely jarring at first because I'm so used to playing a RPG, especially an action RPG, where I have full control of my characters, right? And I'm just doing button combinations like you would instead of a mashing, like almost like a fighting game or a third person like action game. Well, no, for Dragon Age Origins, it's not like that. You basically go through. You can switch between characters. However, you can go through and select And basically, they will run over to an enemy, go through, start hitting them, and you have to press this button repeatedly in order to select attack, them walking over and, like, running, like, them going over an attack, or select this special ability, which is like a charged shield, sort of like a knockdown or whatsoever. And just the combat of it just kind of jarred me up at first. I feel like this is a game, so far, from what I've experienced, that I like the story, I like the characters, and I kind of feel like the combat is sort of mixed with me at this point in time. I do love the aspect of the customization in terms of what I can teach my characters, what I can go through and, like, apply in terms of their skill sets and their abilities. And currently at this moment in time, I like using, like, I like using Morgan as my mage. Mm-hmm. She's actually pretty fun. She's kind of a little bit
kinda
cynical.
Hot, but, you know.
Well, she's kind of a little bit cynical, kind of a little bit this and stuff. And I got this other like, she's more like a female like rogue, where she, you know, is sort of preachy and sort of like that. She's sort of like the opposite of Morgan, where she feels like, you know, she is pretty much like a, like, kind of like, oh gosh, what I'm trying to say. She's more or less sort of like, she has her views of God and this and that, you know, the maker and this and that. So she's more or less on the good side. Morgan's more or less kind of like on that sort of borderline, kind of like the bad, kind of like the negative path or whatever that stuff. But at the same point, I have those two, plus I have my party, I have my dog, my war dog, quintessentially.
Yeah.
Which I decided just to go forth, and I was trying to think of names for him, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know what, your name's Doggo. And all of a sudden I just go through, it's like, hey, Doggo, let's go ahead and do this. And it's kind of funny with some of the selections of the dialogue options, like, hey, what's the matter, boy? What's going on? And he'll actually retrieve items. He'll go through this. And I didn't know this, but over on certain parts of maps that you explore, there's actually an option where you can switch to him, and he'll mark his territory to get a little bit of a status boost. So his abilities, his attacks, his speed and stuff will actually go up for as long as you're in that area. But,
Nice.
Well, let's see. Well, other than that, though, it's like I like the concept of the game. What's really kind of holding me back to try to pursue a little bit more about it is not so more or less the story, but is in terms of, like, whether or not I want to go through the combat in regards to it. It's like what I'm saying before. It's like what I've said before. I feel like I'm kind of mixed with it. It kind of feels like how some gamers were back in the day when the original Mass Effect released, which I can totally see this. It's a BioWare game, the first start of a trilogy, and they made this game after Mass Effect. So you have, and one of the key critical things about the original Mass Effect people didn't like is sort of like the combat, or like the squad up system that they had. Quintessentially, the AI was kind of piss poor in terms of like what you could have them do, but quintessentially it was kind of like more or less sort of like an RPG where everything else seemed to be like good. The mythos, the story, the characters, the dialogue choices, some of the level design, despite like how the recurring randomly generated planets kind of felt the same. For Dragon Age, I kind of feel like, to some extent, kind of like the same way how I felt about the original Mass Effect, where this is a good game. I feel like the story and everything else has the potential to be a fantastic game. At the same point, I'm kind of noticing some of the areas are kind of almost sort of like generated, sort of esque, like how the original Mass Effect was with certain planets. But I do like the way I can go to different towns of my choosing. I could go through and stuff. But the initial thing that totally surprised me, it was not, because it was made back around 2009 or something. This is before the advent of all these open worlds and stuff for a lot of these RPGs. And what's kind of funny is, like, Dragon Age Origins, I thought it was like a full-on, like, exploration. You know, it's kind of like a full-on, like a sandbox sort of experience, sort of similar to that, like a Skyrim or like this or that. But no, this is more or less sort of like kind of how it used to be back around the Western RPGs of the 90s, the 2000s, where you can go to a specific town, you can talk to specific people, you can do your dialogue choices in this, and it kind of feels sort of held back in a way, you know? It kind of feels more reserved now I think about it, because it's more structured and more linear in that regards, as like how Skyrim proved, like, about, God, 2-3 years later, how expansive an RPG could actually go forth and explore in that regards. But yeah, it's been a real trip going back to 2009 and stuff, and like trying to play Dragon Age Origins. And I gotta admit, so far I'm really liking it. I'll play more of it, and I'm gonna see what other types of like crazy stuff I can get myself into, because this definitely feels like the type of game where I'm just gonna randomly just choose choices, see what happens. But what's kind of hilarious is like there was this one dispute at this one village that I had where the shopkeeper was overcharging goods and all this and all that, and basically this lady and stuff was complaining because they were quintessentially overcharging this various goods. And so I go through, it's like, okay, there's got to be a couple different options on how I can control this, right? And so I do the good way, right? But he still leaves. And I'm like, okay, well, what happens if I go through and I just slit his throat? And so I choose the option where I just go through, just flat out kill him, and all of a sudden, what are you doing? No, it's like, and what's kind of funny, Alistair was in my party too, so it's like he just basically had a quick pull up. It's like, well, you know what? It's like, all right, he just accepts it. He was like, he was going to interject. It's like, well, okay, go ahead, do it. And it's like I just basically just waste this merchant or something like that, and it's like, well, that's something I did not want to do. I just reset I kind of feel like I'm going to be doing this a lot, where I'm going to experiment with like the choices that I'm going to go with, because I think the freaking going with the bad karma sort of option or something is kind of a little bit more fun with that regards. But other than that, there is another game that I have been playing. Now, last week I picked up the Contra collection for PS4. It was on sale for about $10, so I figured, hey, half off. A lot of games that I do know or have recognized from the past. So I decided to play the version of Contra for the NES. So that was the one I'm most familiar with, because I grew up playing that game as a kid. I have the NES copy. I do play through that game regularly. But this is the first time where I've played Contra where I felt, you know what, let's see how far I can go with just the set of lives that I've got. I've made it all the way to the end of Stage 4, or close to the end of Stage 4. So quintessentially, there's like 7 stages, I believe, in the original Contra. And the one stage where I basically stopped at, it was like the end of the Stage 4, and quintessentially what it was is like another one of those type of like tunnel, sort of like run through a tunnel, like kind of missions and stuff. Because Stage 2 and Stage 4 are kind of like similar to where Stage 2, you go through this random tunnel, you shoot a bunch of these targets on the wall and stuff and progress further. Stage 4 is sort of like that, only the end difference is there's a lot more enemies, there's a lot more harder of like projectiles to go through and do. But at the end of it, you got a whole bunch of people at the end boss, like shooting at you, and all of a sudden you got these 2 like robotic heads or something like that that are just like going in and out of focus and stuff at the top of the stage. But it was at that point when I got to that point, when the farthest I've ever gotten with just 3 lives, I figured out how to do the save state stuff for that. So I decided to go through and try just do the save states just to play through the rest of the game. And to be perfectly honest, I am actually surprised how much I've actually retained from playing through Contra from like a year and a half ago. Because I'll tell you what, I was pounding that square button really mad, just trying to get the damn thing, because with the game of Contra, you want to go through and have this rapid fire, and it wasn't until after I beat the game and I looked inside of the instructions inside the game that there's a rapid fire option, and I'm thinking to myself, I could have saved myself so much finger pain by doing that. Oh, have you ever played through Contra?
I could never get past like the 3rd level.
I'll tell you what.
I'm terrible.
You
Even
ever
with
try the Konami code?
Yes, many times. I'm terrible at those games.
I'll tell you what, the best bet for you would probably be save states, because that was the way I did it. But I have I have played through Contra on the NES and used the Konami code and gotten through all into the rest of the freaking game. I've done that once, or maybe twice. I'm not too sure. But this is the first time where I have attempted to get as far as I could with just the 3 lives, and I almost beat 4 levels in a row. And
nice.
I'm like, wow, I definitely feel better about myself from going through this game. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what, this is a prime candidate of a game I can replay over again and see if I can get good at it. And it's like, I think about it, and then I put it like on the back burner for like about a month. But no, I'm so excited because there are other games in that collection that I have yet to try out, like Contra Hard Corps. that one is supposed to be one of the best and one of the most difficult of the Contra games. It's sort of similar to how in the Castlevania collection, the game I wanted to play the most was Bloodlines, because Bloodlines is a fantastic platformer, an action platformer. Same thing like its previous games, like the Castlevania 1, 3, Super Castlevania 4. You know, Castlevania 2, even though people give it a lot of crap, it's an average game. It's not bad, but it's just a little convoluted. But for the Contra, you know, you have Contra 3, the Alien Wars, you got Super C, you even got a lot of the Japanese, like, games, like the Japanese soundtracks, the Japanese, like, forays of the games you could switch on the fly. You even got some of the European releases with the game called, like, Probopass or something, or Protector, or whatever, the Probotector or something that it was called in Europe. But you even got the original Contra arcade game on this version. And quite honestly, there is so many different types of games I've never even thought about playing in the Contra series. So it was like, oh, you know what? I'm kind of tempted to play through this back catalog, and let's see what happens. But, yeah. I've played plenty of Dragon Age Origins and plenty of Contra, and I'm like, I can't wait for this week to get to an end so I can play some Doom Eternal, and I can finish it off with Animal Crossing.
Nice. Yeah. It's going to be, oh, man. Next week's going to be awesome. It's just a few more days. A few more freaking days, Gables.
Yep.
But it makes more sense. You were telling me before the show about how your friend liked Dragon Age 2 but didn't like Dragon Age. And I'm just like, what? But it makes more sense the fact she played 2 before 1, because 1 is got like an all-time great like story to me. And the gameplay is pretty good, but it's not great. It's okay. But I mean, even for me, like I'm not a big fan of that kind of like that. That's not the style of game, but like that setting. I don't like that kind of setting. But you know, there's always one. You know, there's some stamps to stand out. Like Lord of the Rings, I love that. Game of Thrones, love that. Dragon Age Origins, love that. So, but no, it's really great. But no, like Dragon Age 2 plays a lot better. It's a lot more fast paced. It's more.
That's probably why. That's probably why. The initial thought that I had that I compared with Mass Effect, because I kind of feel like if I start playing Dragon Age 2 after playing this game, if I quit playing Dragon Age Origins and I play 2 immediately, I am not going to go back to Origins, because I kind of feel like it's going to be that type of game where it's like, it plays better, okay, I can do this and that. Kind of like how Mass Effect 2 improved a lot of the combat and everything else in Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the main problem though with Dragon Age 2 is like the game, like they were forced to release that game like a year early. So like they literally reuse the same areas over and over again. Like there's like the same 4 or 5 areas they reuse for like every time you go off on Dragon Age 2, you go off to like there's like 20 or 30 locations you go to in that game outside of like the main like town, and they just reuse the same assets over and over. Like literally the whole thing is over again every single time, and then they change the big fight at the end. That's it. Like, but it's like halfway through the game I realized that playing through Dragon Age 2, and I'm just like, I didn't know there was like no discovery left, and like it was just like, okay, I just know I'm gonna fight the fights are gonna be a little different, but like I'm just following the same cave. The cave is the same, the shore is the same, the field is the same. It's literally they just like reuse assets over. It's not their fault, but it was just like the game. Like they did a great job of building the gameplay, and the characters are still pretty good in the game. But like the story is just everything is just lesser outside of the combat because of having the release game so early. And Inquisition, it's better.
Well, I've heard about.
It's just
I know I've heard about your experience with Inquisition. You basically went through and played what you could, but it was kind of I know you and Jake had played that game for such a long while, and yet you were so stuck with the side quests and everything else that you just did not want to go through and progress on.
My issue was though you had to by doing side quests you were forced to do like quests because you earn like essentially like tokens, and you had to use so many tokens to unlock new areas. Right. And I remember I was like at the beginning, I loved doing only side quests. And I unlocked these next areas, and when I tried to continue the story, I needed like 40 tokens, and it's like you only get but depending on the story, the quests you do, you get like 1 to 5 tokens. And some of those fucking stories, those little side quests can take you from 20 minutes to 2 hours, and a lot of them are just like, go find 5 mushrooms. And it's just like, I don't want to. I was 37 hours in, and I'm like, I just use up all my tokens, and I'm just like, I don't want to fucking spend. And then I just want, like, at that point, I was just like, I want to progress through the story, and it's just like, I don't want to have to go do another 15, 20 hours of fucking side quests because I did all the story missions in the areas I had unlocked to go to get into the next story mission. Like, I don't want to do that. So
that sounds like an MMO, honestly. Cause
yeah,
that type of side questing type of stuff. Even having played World of Warcraft for like a few months like I did, that's more or less sort of like an MMOS sort of a mission where it's like, okay, now go over here, kill this many beasts.
Yeah.
Go over there, go connect this many mounts of mushrooms or vegetation or some for a stew.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
And it's like, I really enjoyed the game. I burn myself out on like side quests so much. And then I use my coins to unlock the next section. But I was just like, you know what? I want to go on and kind of play some more of the main story. Because that's how every gamer is. Like, you do a bunch of side quests. All right, now I want to go play the main story. Do the main story for a little bit. Oh, I'm going to branch off now. And like, but they just totally broke up the flow and forced you to like, to do the, like, I don't know. It's just like when I'm forced to do it, it doesn't feel like, now I'm not, like, it kind of takes away that, like, I want to do this. Like, now I feel like I have to do this. And it's like you're forced to do something, like, I only want to do like some of the fun ones. I don't want to fucking collect shit or go fucking do fetch quests.
Right, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was my main problem with it. But no, like, Origins is great. But I could see where she's coming from now with that one. But I think it's about time we head out of here, Gables, don't you?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we do have a Facebook group and a page. We have a Twitter account. We have Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, I think YouTube. I think I got them all now. Just search for Drunk Dash Nerds, our Drunk Nerds podcast, Drunk Dash Nerds, Drunk Nerds. You should find us. Follow us there. Subscribe. 5-star reviews, thumbs ups, leave comments, whatever you want to do in all those places. Please do those things. Really appreciate it. The more of you guys go out there and do that and spread the news about us, the more people can see us, the more people listen to us. So appreciate you guys for listening and helping us spread the word on this show. Until next time, I was your host, Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everybody, thank you very much for listening to a fun-filled episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast. And for everyone else out there, hey, if you're quarantined or you're feeling sick or everything else right there, take the necessary precautions, stay safe.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're home, you don't have too much to do, hey, give us a listen.
Yeah,
or
please.
Play games. Or
yes.
even if you want to contact us or whatever, go ahead. We're open and available.
Well, we're stuck at home, so we'll be playing games probably. Watching bad TV. So, yeah. Oh, hey, Gables.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Excuse me. Few too many beers there. Anyways, we're on iTunes now, so go on there, check us out, and if you like us, leave us a review, and we'll even shout you out. And Jack will send you his credit card number.